Hi everyone, welcome to another video from Crafty Terrain. My name's Lee and today I've got some exciting news. We've reached out to Army Painter and asked them if they wanted to sponsor some of our videos and they've kindly agreed. So what we're doing is we're putting 3 videos together using some of Army Painter's products, and I'm going to be doing some tutorials and showing you how we do things at the channel. So the 3 videos that we're going to be looking to do. One, today I'm going to be showing you how to base your miniatures. When I post my pictures to like Reddit and Instagram, people always comment on the bases, how good they look. So I thought I'd do a tutorial to show everyone how to do that. Another video we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to take 3D printed terrain to that next level, how to paint it, how to add some textures to it so it looks really good and realistic on the battlefield. And we're also doing a geonosis build, so that's going to be filling out a 3x6 table full of terrain to, for Star Wars Legion to complete that geonosis board. So I just want to say a big thank you to Army Painter for sending us the products so we can do these videos, and we are super excited to work with you and team up. So guys, let's get into today's video, and I'm going to be basing this Darth Vader. Okay, so this is all the materials that we're going to be using to base this Darth Vader mini that I've got here. So we'll start with the glues. I've got my Battlefield basing glue and some super glue. Then if we look at the paints for the rocks that I'm going to be putting on there, I've got a matte black, uniform grey and matte white. And then for my browns here, we've got the oak brown, chaotic red and skeleton bone, and that's what we're going to be using up to paint everything on the base. Then we've got our brown Battlefield ground, that's like a sand mix, and then we've got some Battlefield rocks. The brushes I'm going to be using, I've got a regiment brush, small dry brush, and then an old monster brush for spreading the glue around. And then we've got some tufts to finish off. We've got the woodland tufts, and then we've got some meadow flowers for them nice finishing touches. Okay, so that's everything that I'm going to be using in the video. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so I've brought the camera in nice and close now so you can see what's going on. And the first stage, what we're going to look to do is glue some of these Army Painter Battlefield rocks onto the mini. These are like little cork fragments and they look super cool on the base because they imitate rocks in the natural world perfectly. If I bring that in close for you, you can see the detail. And what I'm looking to do is pick 2 rocks that are going to fit nicely. The one on the front and then one to the back, okay? And then once you're happy with the 2 that you've got, you're going to take your super glue, and it's got a really nice sharp applicator, so you can put the glue exactly where you need it to go, like so, and then just stick the rock on top. And the reason I'm using super glue to these rocks is because the rocks are going to be bigger and stick up on the base more. They catch people's fingers and thumbs more when you're gaming, so they're more likely to come off. So the super glue will give you a really strong bond. That's why I recommend the super glue, and I've never had any problems with these coming off. And then same process for the back. Small dab of super glue, and then pick a medium sized rock to fit. Just use your fingers to push into place, and then give that 20 minutes or so, and that should dry. Okay, so they're my 2 and they're in place. Okay, so I'm going to give these 20 minutes to dry, and then we'll come back and take a look at the next stage. Okay, so the next stage, we're going to take our Battlefield basing glue and just squeeze some out onto a piece of card or whatever you paint on, and we're going to be spreading this out all over the base. Okay, and then we're going to be dipping that into the Battlefield rocks. Then take your old brush, dip it into some water. It's a wet brush, and then all you're going to do is come round and spread it over the base. This is an old monster brush from Army Painter. So just again, spread this round. Be careful not to get any on the mini. and just cover all the areas now that are the flat base, that where we want the ground cover to sit. If you do get any on the Mini, you can just wipe it off, or on the edge of the base as well, it will just wipe off this white glue. Okay, so go around, get it all covered. Like so. Bring that up to the camera and show you how that's looked. So we're all covered. Then what I like to do is just take your finger and just run it around the edge of the base. That'll help get any off the edge, so you won't have any of your ground cover stick there, or if you do, it will just fall off. Like so. Check that there's none on the Mini. You'll know if there is, because once you've dipped it, there'll be ground cover stuck there. So then take your brown battleground, and all we're going to do is dip the Mini so the base is fully submerged into the ground covering, like so. Just dip it in and then just tap the bottom of the base and that'll fall off. Okay, check to make sure that you've got everywhere covered and that you can't see any of the base. If your base is a lighter colour because of what colour you've primed in, so if it's a light grey or a white, you might want to paint the base brown first, but with a black base it's fine, you won't see through. Okay, and there you can see we have full coverage. We'll let this dry and then we're going to come back and look at what paints we're going to be using. I mean, if you wanted to, if you was doing a big force and you've got lots and lots of minis to do, you could just leave it at that stage now and paint the rim, and you've got a decent looking base. But I'm going to take it that extra bit further, because I do think once you've got a nice Mini that's painted, having a really cool base really will just set that Mini off and give it all the nice finishing touches. So I'm going to let this dry and then we'll come back. Okay, so the ground is all dried now. What we're going to be looking to do now is paint that, and what we're going to be using is this Army Painter Oak Brown, and I'm just mixing up on a wet palette. Okay, so just give the paint a good shake, which I've done off camera. Squeeze yourself some out, and then we need to mix this with quite a bit of water. So we want it to be very thin, because it's only to paint over the ground cover. Okay, so that's looking how I want it to look now. And then all you're going to do is just go in and paint over the tops of all the little bits of sand. Okay, for this I'm using the Regiment brush. It's got a nice point to it, and I can avoid missing Vader and not get any brown on that black armour. Okay, so as you can see, that's going on. Get right up to the pieces of cork, up to the rock, because we're going to paint them after a different colour. Okay, so as you can see, that's going on quite nice now. What I'll do, I'll get that finished up and then we'll come back. Okay, so with all the oak brown dry now, you can see we've got what looks to be like a muddy textured base. The next stage, what we're going to do is look to dry brush that now to give it a bit more detail and a bit more pop. So we're going to start with Chaotic Red, which is like a rich brown colour. Give the paint a good shake. And this time I'm mixing on a piece of card, because we're going to be dry brushing. Okay, so for that I'm using a small dry brush, and all we're going to do is just mix your brush in, some paint on, and then wipe most of the paint off on the card. You can use tissue paper for this if you want, but I just find it easier to put my paint on the card, because that way I'm not on my wet palette and the paint will dry, which is a bit more useful for dry brushing. I don't want my paint too wet. Then all you're going to look to do then is just come in over the tops of the rocks and just give that very thin layer. Okay, you won't see much at this stage, but we're going to build these colours up to come all the way up to a nice brighter colour. This will just give you that first level of contrast, okay? Try and get onto all the areas, just be mindful not to get any onto the mini. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's probably hard for you to pick up on the camera. It's hard to see even with the eyes, but that's the key. You want to build up slowly and gradually so you don't have too much of a big jump in colours and it just won't look natural and it'll just look a bit silly. To build them up really slowly. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry and then we'll come back and put the next colour on. Okay, so for the next colour to go on, we're going to be using the same technique, but now we're going to lighten up the chaotic red with some skeleton bone. So again, same process, just put a little blob onto the card and then you want to be mixing this, or just mix off to the side to get a colour that you're happy with. We don't want to go too light too quick, so mix in some more dark. Okay. And we're just going to follow the same technique, walk most of it off on the card, leave a little bit on the brush, and then just dry brush over the stones. Okay, and that's giving us another layer now. That's looking good. Just go around, follow all the same principles, picking up the top areas of the stone so they look a different colour to the ones underneath. If you're a new painter, I do really recommend spending a bit of time on bases. It really does help the mini look a little bit better. You know, so your painting skills on the miniatures, you might still have a lot to learn, but basing's pretty easy, just following these simple techniques, and you're going to give you that mini such a better finish and look. Okay, so if I bring that up a little bit closer, see how we can start to pick out the top layers now. And that's starting to look pretty good in texture. And again, we're going to go lighter even still now. So I'll let that dry for a couple of minutes and then we'll come back. Okay, so take more of your skeleton bone and mix it in. So we're going to get that a little bit lighter now. Okay, so you can see your previous colour next to the edges. You don't want the jump to be too much, but it needs to be noticeable to make it pop from the previous layer. So follow the same technique, brush it all off. And the lighter you go, the less room you've got for errors really, because it's brighter, the mistake will stand out even more. So then just come over that top layer one more time, just go around, pick out the top layers of the stones. Like so. Okay, again, now let that dry and we can put the final layer on. Okay, so the final layer I'm going to almost pretty much use straight skeleton bone. Again, just brush that off. and then come in and pick the top layers out. If you follow these techniques, you can try different colours. You can do like greys to whites, and that'll give you like a gravel, like urban look, or like a cave dwelling creature might want, which is also like quite a nice good look. Okay, we're getting some really nice contrast now. If you can see that, it gives the base quite a lot of detail, and it's looking pretty nice from the undertones where we started off with that oak brown base, and we've worked that all the way up to a pretty much neat skeleton bone over the top, just with the I didn't clean the brush, and that's how it's toned it down a little bit. You can see that. Still, we can get into where we need to get to, but there's still a little bit of work to do. What we want to do next is paint these rocks black. So I'm going to do that now. Again, I'm going to go back to my wet palette now and just mix up a bit of matte black. Again, nice and watery, give your bottle a shake. And again, for that, I'm just going to be using the Regiment brush. Mix a bit of water in. Okay, and then be careful now not to get any over your base, but just paint the cork rocks fully black, okay? And then we're going to come back and dry brush this up to look like stone, and that'll give us like different looks on the base and add more detail that'll draw people's eyes to. So you've not just got the same colour on your base, it gives people something to focus on, and their eyes will be drawn to different areas on the base then. Okay, I'm going to get that finished off and then we'll come back. Okay, so with the black dry, the very next step is to take some uniform grey and we're going to dry brush over the black. Same technique, shake your paints up, put some on your card and wipe the majority off, okay? And then we're just going to pick up the surface of the black rock and start to create that stone look, okay? So you can be quite heavy with the first grey layer to cover most of the black. Get round the sides as well, just be careful not to get any on the base, and that will start to build up quite nicely and start to look like a realistic stone. Okay, so that's enough for the first layer. If we take a look, then the next stage what we're going to look to do is take some matte white and we're going to mix the two together to give ourselves a lighter tone of grey. That's about right. Just let that first layer dry and then wipe the majority of this off. Again, you want a lighter layer of dry brushing now, so to leave some of that grey behind, the uniform grey, and then just again just come in with this lighter layer over the top, like so. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and then we'll come back and add the final layer. Then the very final layer, we're just going to use just the pure white, just to go lightly over the top, create that look of stone. So just nice and light now, just pick up the top edges on the rock, like so. See that? It's picking up nice, giving us lots of detail. You can see them rocks in there. Okay. Then the final step, to finish off with paint is we're going to paint the rim of the base with our chaotic red. And that's just going to give it that nice finish, okay? You do see some people paint the rims black, but I like a nice dark brown. It actually looks like it's been painted then. I sometimes think when you just paint it black, it looks like it's just been left and looks unfinished. So again, I'm going to go back to our wet palette. And I'm going to be using my regiment brush again. So it's got that nice sharp point. And I'm just going to be able to just come in and just paint all around that rim. You might want a couple of layers, so do one thin layer first off and let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll put the second layer on. So okay, I'm going to go around and get that done, and then okay, so that base is fully dry now with the brown rim and it's looking super cool. Now the nice finishing touch, and this is my favourite bit about basing, is when you get to add the tufts and the grass. So for this one we're going to be putting on some of the meadow tufts, and you get 77 tufts in this pack, and they're for different scale games. So you've got them for like your 12, your 35 and your 30. I'm going to just be putting on some of the small tufts from this top, and I think 2 grass tufts is going to look fine on this base. So they are self-adhesive, so you can just stick them straight on and they will hold. What I like to do though is I just take some of my basing glue and just put a little dab of glue where I'm going to put a tuft, and then I stick the tuft to that piece of glue, and I'll show you that now. So just dab a little tiny bit of glue on, peel your tuft. I'm just going to go for the medium, peel that off, and then just place on top of the glue and just push down with your finger, and that hold in place on that glue and will not come off once it's dry, like so. And then I'm probably going to place one small one at the back here just under the cape, and if you can see that in there, just again same process, dab a little bit of glue in, and that's just going to add a bit of colour to that base and just break up all that dirt look. Don't want to cover the base completely because we want to show some of that dry brushing work that we've done, so you want to make sure that you leave some. If you struggle with little fiddly things like this, guys, then you can use a pair of tweezers to pop these on, but I find it easy enough to do with my fingers. So you got one grass tuft there on the front, and if we turn him round, there's one under there on the cape. Okay, and then for the very final finishing touch, I'm going to add one of these meadow flowers. I think with Vader just being such a dark and evil character, having like one small little set of flowers on his base, it's going to look pretty cool. So again, I'm just going to go here next to that rock, dab a bit of my glue on, and then just peel off some of the flowers, and then just place that on top of the glue like so, and just spread the flowers out so you can see them like so. There we have it. I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll take a look once it's all dry, okay? Okay, so we're back and the base is all dry now and it's looking awesome. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. I think the colours contrast really well with the green and the yellow and that grey rock off the brown muddy base. Really makes it pop and stand out. It does take a bit more time to do your bases like this way, but I think it's time well invested. I mean, having the leaders of your armies, your captains, your sergeants with a nice base really does make your force look that much better when it's on the table. Plus, the leaders of your forces are always what draw people's eyes, so they're going to get the most attention. So you do want to give it a nice base and finish. Obviously, using Army Painters products, they are quality products and they will stand the test of time. You know, I expect that base will be looking good in 6 months after gaming, even years down the line after it's been hit with dice and been handled and picked up many times. It will still look nice. I also was talking about, if you're new to mini painting, the importance of having a good base to help your paint jobs look better and the minis give them that finishing touch. And this is a good example of that, and this is why I wanted to use this mini. This mini was painted by Ilya, friend of the channel, has appeared on our battle reports, and it was his very first mini that he ever bought and painted. And then I asked him if he'd let me base it for this video, and he kindly did. And I just wanted it to showcase how good you can make a mini look that's been painted for your first time with a good base. I'm very happy with how it's turned out. Okay everyone, that brings us to the end of today's video. If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to leave us a like. If you want to see more from Crafted Terrain, then remember to subscribe and click that bell. I hope that you agree that the base on this Darth Vader looks absolutely fantastic. And if you've got any questions at all, let us know down in the comments and we'll get back to you and help you out down there. Before we go, I just want to say a big thank you to Army Painter for sending us the products to make this video possible. We really do appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much, and we look forward to making some more videos very, very soon. And that brings us to the end of the video. So everybody, take care and have a great day.